Mm. My apologies for being 3 minutes late on the stream. We'll try not to be so rushed in the future. All right, let's get into Sea Shanty land. All right. Last time on the stream, I decided I wanted to do this at 188 BPM. I was singing it a little bit in my head at work. Let me see. Dum, 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 dum. At the Black Wall docks we bid adieu to lovely Kate and pretty Sue. Our anchors weighed and our sails unfurled, and we're bound to plough the watery world. Say we're outward bound. Still feels a little fast, doesn't it? Let's try 182. At the Black Wall docks we bid adieu to lovely Kate and pretty Sue. Our anchors weighed and our sails unfurled, and we're bound to plough the watery world, and say we're outward bound. Hoorah, we're outward bound. The wind it blows from east northeast. Our ship sails 9 knots at least. Our roaring guns wheel well up. Yeah. Our roaring guns we'll well supply, and while we have powder, never say die, and say we're outward bound, hurrah, we're outward bound. I think that's a lot more generous of a tempo. Particularly, I have these two eighth notes that make things kind of challenging. Right here. And we're outward bound. Right, those two right here. That's so do. And so for moments like and so do. And while we have powder, never say die. And while we have powder, never say die. And that makes me think maybe even slower than that. Because like I don't see how I can make and while very clear in tempo. And while we have powder, never say die. Right, those are important words there. So let's try 176 for a tempo. And I mentioned this in my Gina Aiko React about like how playful she must have been to discover a lot of things. And this is what I love about doing reacts before my recording sessions. It's like I'm inspired to do better and be better. Like these people are so good. So yeah. And I have to balance that with like, I do have a deadline for this, but I also have to make it a certain quality. At the Black Wall docks we bid adieu to lovely Kate and pretty Sue. Our anchors weighed and our sails unfurled, and we're bound to plough the watery world, and say we're outward bound. Hoorah, we're outward bound. The wind it blows from east northeast. The wind it blows from east northeast. Our ship she sails 9 knots at yeah. Love. Hey Pedro, welcome. The new music video. Was that on last night? I walked in on my wife watching it, as a matter of fact, and it looked really cool. And I didn't know it was them because it's so wild, right? Is that the one with there's blue lighting and they're in all kinds of crazy get-ups? Like it's really kind of really brave and out there. But I heard it was them from the music, and I actually typed at my wife, "Aren't they amazing?" And she's like, "Oh my God, yeah, this is amazing." And I'm like, "That girl's going to play Ariel." And she's like, "Well, that's great because she's great." And it was surprised my wife because I studied opera for 14 years. And like whenever we watch like movies or anything like that together, I'm like, "Oh, isn't that like that celebrity?" And she looks at me like, "No, that celebrity died like 5 years ago. What's wrong with you?" So I have no idea about pop culture. The only experience right now I have about pop culture is like from y'all telling me like, check out this artist, check out this artist. I'm like, okay, time for me to get out of my rock. So I felt really cool in that moment. I'm like, Oh, you don't know who Chloe and Hallie are, huh? Well, let me just polish my knuckles right here. Let me tell you about it. So that I had that little moment with my wife. That never happens. She's always the one schooling me on things, right? So it was like a little cool little moment for me. But yeah, I saw it. It was amazing. I don't know much about Cher. I like all I know is the recordings and really the one that we have all heard. You know, Do You Believe in Love? Um, I know that she had that show where it was Cher and some other dude, Sonny and Cher. And I had heard some of Sonny and Cher, and I thought it was very good, from what I remember. But it was my roommate listening to a few clips in college, so it's been a while. The Out Tonight, by the way. Oh yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that. Is it just a remastering of some of their old stuff, or is it there's going to be new stuff on it, Terrell? Hope you don't mind. Like while I'm waiting for Al to answer the latency. I'm just going to take a swing at this. The wind it blows from east northeast. That's so what east north. That Scottish and Irish thing to flip the tongue. The wind it blows from east northeast, east north. That flick to the th, northeast. It's a tongue twister. The wind it blows from east northeast. I know what I'm practicing at the register with my mask on at work. East north. It's so dumb. From east northeast. That's one of the hardest things to do in an Irish or Scottish accent. North. That flick to R to the TH. North. Brutal every time for me. 2 new tracks, awesome. Cher is 74? Really? I would have never guessed. Fun fact, and I'm not sure if this is gonna like freak some people out, but I'm just gonna say it because like it's my life, and this is how I know. The most I know about Cher and her cultural impact is actually from a drag queen who did Cher impersonations, or does Cher impersonations. I used to help with bookings in all sorts of different venues and bars, and that was not my. I don't know enough about drag queens to like go out and book drag queens, but that was one of the acts that was booked that night. And so they told me a lot about Cher and how she's a cultural icon. So that and some Sonny and Cher and Do You Believe in Love? That's what I know about Cher. But I'm sure she's good because like I said about the Sonny and Cher stuff. I remember that being some pretty impressive vocals. And yeah, please reveal some deets on the Chloe and Halle album because I wouldn't mind listening to that. Especially if it's coming out tonight. The wind it blows from east northeast, east northeast. Our ship she sails 9 knots at least, our roaring guns wheel well. Our roaring guns will well supply and while we have well supply and while we have powder, never say die. Yeah, so 176 feels way better than 182. And while we have powder, never say die, and we say we're outward bound, hurrah, we're outward bound. The wind it blows from east northeast. I don't know if I'll ever get that right. East northeast. East, north, east. So this would be an example of, I'm going to slow that down. I won't burden you all with that. I have to react to some live performance. Oh, Cher? She had that many albums sold? Dang, that's a lot. Oh, really? It's going around Twitter? I'm gonna open this in another browser. I know that's the problem with the internet. Like, I've seen so many streamers just get booted from platforms because they brought up something they weren't supposed to. They're just doing this on another thing. Someone clip the thing. I'm getting earned media. A little marketing term for y'all. Earned media. I'm not being tagged in any of it from what I see. That's definitely not safe for work. Huh. Well, that sucks, because actually I'm trying to grow my Twitter, and I'm not tagged in any of it. Oh, well. I mean, like, I can also post it, and it'll be my content. But that's good to know, because then maybe I can post it. Can someone tag me in that? My Twitter is @musiclesage. It's a different name, which sucks, because Lesage Singing was taken. Hold on, yeah, I would love it if I could get tagged in that, because I want to see what people are sharing. I'm just gonna type my handle in chat, my Twitter handle. Sorry to like take a selfish moment, but like I'm actually trying to grow my Twitter actively. Thank you. Have you heard about Portuguese type music called fado? I've heard about it, but I'm not gonna lie, like most of my knowledge of fado comes from a restaurant in Philly called Fado. Channel about a week ago. Love it. Your videos have been teaching me so much about singing. I'm glad. And Colette, if you want individualized attention, I do that on my Discord, and I also give on Sundays free 30-minute lessons. You do have to sign up, and that portal is linked on occasion to the Discord when people are active there. I was gonna just like pin it, but like I give it to people individually when they're active. Just because I wonder if I should pin it. I was gonna tag everyone like tomorrow and see if people want to do that, which I'll probably do. I don't think it's fair to ask people to be engaged with other people that they don't know. And maybe if like a lesson helps people warm up to the Discord, I don't know. Like I feel like, yeah, I'll probably just post it anyway. But the Discord link is in the description of this stream. I give free lessons on Sundays, early in the morning, unfortunately, but it's the only time I can do it. Yeah, I'm trying to help people as much as I can, Colette. So I'm glad you're getting some help from it. I want to see this thing on Twitter. Ah, there I am. Okay. The wind itself from east, north, east. That's going to be so hard. Going to take a lot of... Whoa! Yo! This tweet is big. The hell? Oh. Oh, this tweet is big. That's got 500 retweets? Oh, man. And this is the problem with me not... Ah, man, I should have put that thing on Twitter. Dang. Maybe I should have like a little watermark that says my thing. Whatever. It's really Chloe and Hallie that did the work. I just shed tears, so maybe I shouldn't get too bitter about that. Like, you know, it was really their work that deserves the praise here. So you know, I just kind of watch it and give my 2 cents. So. Yeah. I'll link my video. Oh man. I'm gonna have to spend some time at work responding to all these tweets. you could tell how much I care about my job, right? No one from work who watches my channel, please do not say a thing. Hey Mason, how you doing? That tweet is huge. Holy crud. Let's get in here. All right, you know what? We're changing. Like, I know we're doing Q&A. We'll still do Q&A, but I can't let this opportunity go. So I'm gonna switch over to Twitter on the thingamabob. Oh, I gotta do this. Switch the windows. We're getting technical here. Is that showing up here? We're just gonna bring this in. I'm going deep in Twitter, folks. How do I Twitter? How do I do this? Anything? I'm not sure if I can show that on stream. This is what's dangerous about Twitter. Yep. All right. I'm not gonna. This stream is about y'all. It's not about me going. It's not about me going on Twitter. As tempting as it is. All right. We're done. We're done. We're done. Very tempting, but we're done. This stream is not about me. It's for people to ask questions. React to Mariah Carey. I will, maybe eventually. It's just she's done a lot. But yeah. Oh, I think what I might do regarding React videos is I might do for Mariah, like I might do like a thing with Discord. And I've talked about this last stream. Like on Discord, I might do something where everyone can kind of come in and we can all hop in a voice chat and just talk about stuff, you know? And that might be how I do React videos in the future, just because I don't like necessarily having like this one-way street of talking to people, because I like to know what you guys like about these artists, because it helps me understand what people want to learn. Because again, under a rock for 14 years, right? I studied opera for 14 years, and for 10 years, and then 4 years I just studied the voice as it pertains to anatomy. But in the context of opera is what I did that. So it's like it really helps me to know what other people end up enjoying and liking about other artists. So I'll probably do something with the Discord. Do you have any recommendations for singing in one language, like English, then switching to Spanish in the same song? It depends what you're having problems with, Mason. Like, I think that can work pretty well. Like, there's a... like, Time to Say Goodbye, like, switches from Italian and English, and it works out. I don't think you treat it any differently. I think you just need to understand the words, understand the text you're saying, understand the music really well, and don't treat it as different. Because it's still words put to song. What I do when I don't understand the words, because this happens in opera all the time, right? I have to sing French, Italian, Russian. So what I do is a word for word translation. I don't look up translation online. I type in the words into Google Translate one word at a time, so that I have the literal translation. And that helps me stay present and not be generalized. And then the other thing I would make sure is to, luckily for us, Google Translate has like the pronunciation button where you can hear how how it sounds. So do that and try to kind of like sit there and kind of mimic the sound. And something she does with her vocals is the runs, her R's. Sounds great. Okay. Accents, I would avoid accents unless you feel really comfortable with them or know how to practice them. For example, I played a character that was Irish, or Scottish or whatever, and I like to have my sea shanties in that tone. At the black wall docks we bid adieu to lovely Kate and pretty Sue, our anchors weighed and our sails unfurled, and we're bound to sail the water, bound to plough the watery world, and say we're outward bound, hurrah, we're outward bound. So that might convince most people, but anyone who's native is going to be like, ugh. And I think the best way to do a language is just don't pretend to be native. Try your best to get the aesthetic of the language, but don't. It can become pedantic if you get too into the weeds with that. If you want to copy her R's, unless you spend a lot of time practicing that specifically. But I mean a lot of time. I played that Scottish or Irish character for a year, and I'm still working on some of the idioms. You know what I mean? And it's going to just sound strange to people who speak Spanish or who are native to that language. So that's why I generally recommend that you don't play with accents unless you are willing to put in a lot of work. I want to start learning music theory. It all seems so confusing. Any advice on where I should start? Reading music. I would start learning how to read music before you get into theory. Or it depends. You want a reference, okay? You want a reference point. So for example, on piano, I know all the names of the notes. Right, I know 1, 4, I know chords on the piano and stuff like that. But you want a reference to tie theory to, otherwise it's vacuous and meaningless. So if you're just singing, then I would learn solfege. So I would literally start reading music. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. And then I would start doing solfege to the music that you see. A great resource is musictheory.net, which I think has changed. Let me again remove this tab. And they have exercises. Musictheories.net is amazing. Whistle note, that's a whole can of worms. I don't know how to do that. I know how it works. A whistle note is there's usually in vocals we talk about 2 different tilts. There's a classical tilt where the larynx tilts like that. Right? Then there's a belting tilt, which I don't actually have the ability to isolate. I never learned it, but I know that there's a different piece of cartilage that you can tilt. I thought about training that for a little bit, and then I just decided I didn't really sincerely want to belt, so I never learned it. And then there's the third, and it's actually back here. And so when you tilt one of these and then back here at the same time, you get into whistle register. I have no idea how to train it. I don't have any exercises for that. I just know how it works. So yeah, I don't know how to train a whistle register. I know it's possible for both men and women, contrary to common belief, where people think it's exclusive to women. It's not. Both men and women can do it. Let me type in musictheory.net in the chat. What I would do, Delshun, is I would start something basic, like really, really basic. And I would do note identification. Okay. So I would do that. Just get into note identification. Then what I would do is musictheory.net also has scales. And this is, by the way, this is exactly what I did when I first started learning to read music. I did it as an adult largely. So I would do that, and then I would go train the notes, then go to the scales, train the scales. And I would exclusively do major scales. So that you go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, right? And if you can identify the different keys, because there'll be like different key signatures, and there are a lot of different scale exercises and stuff like that. I would just start associating all that stuff with solfege. And then once you learn scales, then you can learn chords, right? So a chord is just, scales taken in thirds. So do, mi, so, mi, do, right? Do, mi, so, mi, do, if you want a seventh chord. Do, mi, so, ti, so, mi, do, right? Music theory is, it takes a while before the utility of it pays off. It's just like reading and writing in English or in any other language. Like, you're spending like a good year or so, and I don't say this to discourage you. I'm saying this because it is a little tedious at first, because you're just doing all this work and there's no benefits at first. But like, for example, I can make a couple of bucks per recording, and that might not sound like a lot, but like, I just read this, right? Like, when it comes to reading music equals money. If you want to earn money as a singer, learn to read music and learn enough technique to stay on pitch. If your goal is exclusively to earn money, learn to read music, learn to be on pitch. I've seen people who sound like garbage and who are not always on pitch get way better paid work than me because they can read better. Because if you look at it from the producer or the conductor's point of view, they're not paying you for rehearsal at that point. You just come to the gig and you read the music, and they pay you for the gig, and you're done. Everybody wins. So reading music is like a superpower, right? Like, I don't have to learn this music. I don't have to memorize this music. I have the music right here. I just read it. It'd be like trying to memorize Shakespeare versus like having the Shakespeare right in front of me, and I can just read the Shakespeare, right? Like, the amount of content, the amount of recordings I can get done, it's not even comparable. Like, people who cannot read music will never compete with me unless they're like oral geniuses, which most people aren't. Everyone wants to be an oral genius where they can hear a song once and they walk away. Most people aren't that, overwhelmingly. So there's no substitution for being able to read music. The good news, though, is it's very possible. You just learn what the notes on the staff are, musictheory.net. You learn your scales, musictheory.net. And then you go and like read a book like Melodia. And you just read a lot. Not complicated, just very hard and tedious and a lot of work. So that's the long answer to music theory for singers. I gotta close the door. My wife's home. Ruffalo, I'm gonna make a specific video about that. I'm gonna be making a video of why 5 reasons why Hallie is the perfect Ariel. And I'm actually gonna be doing my research for that tomorrow on a very long stream. Usually my streams are only 1 hour, but this one's gonna be a really long one. Because I have my 5 points, but I want it to be really thorough. I want it to be more of a video essay than me just like talking to a camera. Although there are advantages of me just talking to a camera because my sincerity comes through. So I don't know. I really want to know what the hell I'm talking about with that, because part of the argument that people would use against her would be stabs at her career and how long and how young she is, and like versus musical theater people who have played Ariel on Broadway. People are going to say, well, that person's more they put in more dues, and I want good arguments against that. So all the best to you as well. Okay. East, northeast, east, northeast. There we go. That is an example for those who've been in the stream long enough to remember that I was struggling with that. When you're practicing something, practice it a little bit, step away. Literally, your brain, by forcing the recall, your brain is building neural pathways. If you just keep doing it over and over and over again without a break, your brain doesn't build lasting neural pathways. So you have to take a step back away from it. The wind, it blows from east, east, northeast. Our ship, she sails 9 knots at least. Our roaring guns will well supply. And while we have powder, and oh man, what is it? The wind, it sails from east, northeast. Our ship, she sails 9 knots at least. Our mooring guns will well supply. And while we have powder, never say die. And say we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound. The wind, it blows from east to northeast. Our ship, she sails 9 knots at least. Our roaring guns will well supply. And we'll never say die. I say we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound. And when we get to Malabar, or some other port not quite so far, our captain will our wants supply. And while we've grub, we'll never say die, and say we're outward bound. We're outward bound. Then at last our captain comes on board. Our sails are bent, we're manned and stored. The Peter's hoisted at the fore. Goodbye to the girls we'll see no more. When we are homeward bound, hurrah, we're bound. One day the man on lookout proclaims a sail with a joyful shout. Can you make her out? I think I can. She's a pilot stand from the land. Hurrah, we're homeward bound. Hurrah, we're homeward bound. Now when we get to the Blackwall docks, the pretty young girls come out in flocks. To the other you'll hear them say, oh, here comes Jack with his 10 months' pay. For I see you are homeward bound. Hurrah, you're homeward bound. It's funny, like, you'd think sea shanties would get boring with how repetitive they are, but they're so much fun. Birdie. I don't know Birdie. Birdie, she's an amazing artist, especially Shelter. Not about angels. There's a lot of artists I need to get to. That I will. I just recorded my Gina Aiko recording. So that's up first, is the deep dive into Gina Aiko. And also the cap off on Chloe and Hallie. Let me check Twitter again. I've never gone viral on Twitter. I've gone viral on the gram. But yeah. Oh, this is getting some love though. That's nice. All right. Any other questions? While I was scoping out Twitter, wishing I got tagged. No. Okay. I'm going to go through this. The wind it blows from east, north, east, north, 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 east, north, east, north, north, east. This is why singers need incredible familiarity with like their apparatus, right? This is just a coordination issue. East, north, east. The wind it blows from east, north, east. Our ship she sails 9 knots at least. Roaring guns will well supply, and we'll have powder, never say die, and say we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound. Outward bound. Let's see. Bound. So this is some interesting music theory stuff here, right? So we're in 4/4 here, and this is a half note at the end on bound. I'm not sure if you can see it through my thick head. Yes, you can. So the ending word is bound. That's on a half note. So that's 2 quarter notes. All right. So this is not a full measure. All right. So where's the other notes? Well, the other notes are in the beginning. Right. And so this is where we're going to repeat. Now, the way I would handle this, we're bound. We're bound. I would almost turn this into a quarter, or I could go right into the next word, or I can hold it. And this is where it's cool with like, so this is called a fermata. I can hold this as long as I want. Tastefully. I just like hold this for a measure that's weird. But I can hold this as long as I want. So the way I start this tune is always the same way. I give these 3 beats so that I'm an even 4/4. And the black wall ducks we bid adieu to lovely Kate and pretty Sue. Our anchors weighed and our sails unfurled, and we're bound to plough the watery world and say we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound. Right? Outward bound. The wind it blows from east, northeast. Our ship she sails 9 knots at least. Our roaring guns will well supply, and while we have powder, never say die, and say we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound. And when we get to Malabar or some other port that's not quite so far, our captain will our wants supply. While we have grub, we'll never say die, and say we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound. And what's cool about the sea shanties is I can add all these choruses and all that stuff. So like on the hurrah, like sometimes I'll do it on pitch, so on some verses, and on some other verses I'll just say hurrah right into the microphone. That'll be fun. Oops, bumped into the mic. I'm like looking at this Twitter, wishing I was tagged because it got 545 retweets. I'm just glad I was told it was going around. I was gonna clip it and tweet it too, which I can do. Still, I mean, if it went viral for one person, oh well. They're my tears. I'll monetize them. Damn it, right? I was gonna schedule a tweet, but for some reason it didn't work. I'm not sure what's up with Buffer, but I gotta do that. I gotta fix that somehow. Figure out what's wrong. I think the best thing I could do is just kind of like reply to everybody in this. Hold on. I don't want to lose that tweet. I don't know how to save tweets. I guess I can just keep the URL. Yeah, keep the URL. That's cool. I'll put that in my to-do list. That's gonna be, there we go. Because I've been trying to grow my Twitter for ages, and I have no idea how to Twitter. No idea. Let me just throw that in my to-do list. Okay. This is good. Okay, yeah, I can just track all this and respond to all this. It's going to be like literally the entire day. The transition from the intro to Forgive Me. This is literally me, as they should. Like talented they are. Yes, they are gorgeous, but they... Okay, a lot of different sentiments. Okay, anyway. Tomorrow I'll be spending like literally hours on Twitter. That's the answer to this problem. The black wall dogs we bid adieu to lovely Kate and pretty Sue. Our anchors weighed in the sails and fell. And this one is the one I need. The wind it blows from east northeast. The wind it blows from east northeast. Our she sails 9 knots at least. Our roaring guns will well supply. Powder never say die, and we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound. And when we to Malabar, the port not quite so far, our captain wants supply. And while we've grub, we'll say. And while we've grub, we'll never say die. What a find, what a find. So I think usually I like to kind of do everything in one take, but there's so many verses here. I think the way that I'm going to have to record it is just to do it all one at a time. So that's going to be, I have to set that up in my my mixer, my looper thing, which is how I do all my recordings. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's it. Okay, so there's 9. So I'll put that in the to-do list as well. And again, just anyone can interrupt me with any questions if you all have them. So that's cool beans. That's done. That's my timeline. Good, I have 10 more minutes. Yeah, so anybody the next 10 minutes if you want to do that. Let me choose that. And then let me put that and that. Yoinky yoinkies. Okay. And let me get more specific. Set up 9 instance phrases for homeward bound. I think that's good for Friday. So, in addition to like reading music being a really, really powerful thing when trying to, record and do tracks really, really quickly, having a good workflow is really nice. And I think for recording music, a phrase-by-phrase workflow is really nice. It allows for a lot of playful options. I think going like trying to record all this in one take and then during the choruses and all that, like I feel like it always helps to break it up. And so this is where music theory really comes in helpful. And also just like playing a lot with recordings, because one of my favorite things to do in recordings is to bury layers. So in Sea Shanties, we have the call and response, right? At the black wall docks we bid adieu. So that's the call, and then the response is, to lovely Kate and pretty Sue, or whatever. So like, but like I'd have something like that, like a pirate voice that's like kind of off pitch. I'd have that kind of like buried. And it messes up the chorus a little bit and makes it dirty, but it also makes it kind of like honest to how you'd actually hear people sing. Who are, pirates or on a boat, and not everyone's gonna have a pretty voice, right? And so that's how I kind of get that like really raucous chorus sound, and that just is stuff that comes from doing stuff a lot. So if you're a singer, put yourself out there, make a lot of recordings, do the things, okay? Do the things. Practice, but also do the things. Super important. Let me get the pitch. At the Blackwall docks we bid adieu to lovely Kate and pretty Sue. Our anchors weighed and our sails unfurled, and we're bound to plough the watery world. And then this is also where I don't think I could do a pirate one unless I had counter melody. Because when you do that fry thing and you go up high, like you're asking for trouble. So I'd probably do just some opera stuff. And we're bound to plow, and we're bound to plow the watery world and say we're outward bound. Hurrah! We're outward bound. Right? Something like that. I noticed that I can hold notes longer while in head voice than I can with my chest voice. Is this due to breath control or could it be technique? It's a result of technique. High notes take less air, which is what makes them harder. Like if you ever put your hand next to a subwoofer, like it's actually pushing air. Like you can physically feel the air it's pushing when you put your hand next to a subwoofer. That's not a coincidence. More has to move, right? And specifically with the voice, if you are not in falsetto, your folds are very, very, very thin. So too much air puts them in falsetto, right? You have very, very thin folds because the higher you go, the more your folds thin out. So if you put too much breath pressure behind that, they'll flip into falsetto. But if they're not flipped into falsetto, you're using less air. So you have more in your tank. That's just good technique. That's why you can hold notes longer. Not everybody would be able to do that. For example, if they were in falsetto, they would be leaking a lot of air, and that's what makes countertenors are just falsettists. They're singers that have basically worked on their falsetto. And actually, fun fact, the best countertenors are usually baritones or basses because they have the thickest folds, and so they get the most sound in falsetto because they're moving bigger parts. And also their folds can thin out a lot more because there's just more mass to them. That's like a kind of a fun fact there. But yeah, unless you're in falsetto, you will be able to hold a note for longer because you're leaking out air slowly. You're controlling the amount of air you're suspending. A great way to visualize this and to have this like right in front of you is to take a straw, put it into a cup of water, and sing. And you'll see that on low notes, generally what's happening is that there's more bubbles. Like you can, like what's great about that exercise, you can actually see the consequences of air. So I love that one. If you want to familiarize yourself with what you're doing with your breath, do that. Get a cup, fill it with water, get a straw, sing through the straw. Uh-huh. All right. Unfortunately, I have to end before the hour is up because I, like a dummy, I started late. But I'm going to wait for if anyone has any final questions, I'm going to give it like another 2 minutes. I think I'll be ready to record this. I just have to work on. The wind, it blows from east, northeast, east, northeast. So that's going to be the thing I work on. East, northeast, east, northeast, east, north, east, north, east, east, northeast. Talk about obnoxious, but that's how I would practice that. I'd get a metronome out on the phone. These are wonderful little devices here, right? I'm going to get a metronome out and just east, north, east, east, north, east, right? Cool. Apparently Streamlabs gives stuff faster than YouTube does. I'm a longtime musician, but I'm learning to sing. Bands like Nickelback and Bad Wolves have their sound where they seem to cover their voices. There's barely any mask and have a very pushed feeling. No, that is not how singing is done in most instances. Actually, not Emily. I will answer your question after I kind of answer nature. So rock and roll has very distinctive vocal technique that relies on a microphone. I don't do this terribly well, but like if I wanted to do, so you have what's called the false folds here above your vocal folds. And when you put them together, you can get a very harsh sound. Like right now, they're very close together, and that's how we get this really kind of like weight your body, tough action hero sound. But the problem with this is that you really need to have very loose breath control or very good breath control, because this cannot handle a lot of air. And it only really works with a microphone. In reality, what I sound like right now is very, very quiet. But this is the sound that a lot of rock singers use to sing. And it doesn't have a lot of range, which is okay. But that's how you get that kind of gritty voice, is you use your false folds and very, very, very good breath control. And then they have a lot of post-production effects on their vocals to make it sound harsher. You can use compression distortion. That's what Muse, they use compression distortion, which is why every time he takes a breath, you hear it, because the compression is cranked up to the max to get distortion. Nickelback, I don't know. But yeah, it's rock and roll is mainly like false fold stuff. And it's its own style. It's really, really, really hard to do. You need really, really, really good breath control to not hurt yourself doing that. False folds being together is like not, it's risky biscuit. But it's very doable. You just have to really, really, really good breath control. So for starters, take very little inhales and make sure that you're not like tightening up, that you can isolate this sound, right? So like, I'm trying to think of, I guess I'll just sing the sea shanty so I don't get DMCA'd. I'll sing a sea shanty like with false folds contracted. The Blackwell docks we bid adieu to lovely Kate and pretty Sue. Our anchors weighed and our sails unfurled, and we're bound to plow the watery world and say we're outward bound. Hurrah, we're outward bound. Right? And that's obviously without any like musical rock idioms in there, but that's how you can get that gritty sound. Do I only give solo voice lessons? No. I try to vary what my offering is. I give vocal advice here. I give vocal advice on my Discord. If you're active in the Discord, I give you a free lessons link. And that is a service I provide, and there's a calendar there that you can kind of schedule. It's a really easy booking portal for me. It translates time zones and everything. And then on that same booking portal, you can get from me videos that come at like a little bit of a cost. If you want like video lessons to follow up your lesson, there's that. There's solo lessons. I'm going to try and do group lessons in the Discord. But I'm going to have to wait until people are like really comfortable with themselves. And also I'm going to have to wait until like the free lessons are just basically booked for, a long time outwards. So I try to offer as much as I can, because I know people have all kinds of different availability in terms of what's in their wallet, especially right now during COVID. So I try to be really, really flexible and considerate. Which is why I actually offer like free. It's 30 minutes. It's not a full hour, but it's still free. We can't argue with the price, right? But those are for people who are active in the Discord.